Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Education. We are starting season 6, and I am the CEO, the Chief Empowerment Officer, and we are going to have a fantastic show here today. I'm very excited to be here. Congratulations to my WCEG family and my producer, Penny, for making 6 years this year. Congratulations to myself in Conversations in Education for making 6 years. So I'm very happy. I'm very excited. We are moving, we are shaking, we are growing. And to my listening audience, thank you all for being here for 6 years and supporting us. I have a very wonderful guest with me today. She goes by Joni Payton. Miss Payton, how are you today, ma'am?
Fantastic. How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. I'm very excited and happy to be here. I'm looking forward to having this conversation about homeschooling. So, but before we get into the conversation, I do have a couple of announcements to make. First, I would like to give a shout out to Oakland Cemetery and the cast and crew and people over there that are putting together the Spirit of Oakland, which is a tour that I will be in. I will be acting in from October 14th through October 31st, the last 3 weekends in October. You can come around and see and hear some of the history of Oakland Cemetery and get to meet some of the prominent residents that are residing there. So I'm very excited about that opportunity. So thank you to everyone at the Oakland Cemetery for that. My second announcement I would like to make is I'm very excited to congratulate my 2 students from this summer. I helped 2 students at KIPP Soul Academy start their own businesses this summer, and I'm very excited about that. So congratulations to Gabrielle and to Haley. Haley's business is called Nails on Fire. She'll be selling acrylic nails and nail polish. And Gabrielle's business is called, oh my God, I don't forget the name of it. But she has a children's yoga class that she's going to be doing because she wants to help children remain calm, work on their behavior issues, and elevate themselves to a higher consciousness. So
that's awesome.
Right, and she came up with that all by herself. So congratulations to Gabrielle and to Haley. They'll be receiving their first checks from Operation Hope this week, and I am very, 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 very excited about that.
Always doing awesome things.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm very, very, very excited about that. I mean, they're 5th graders starting their own business, so I'm excited to watch them grow. And one more note, those are my positive announcements. I have one more announcement I need to make about schools. Oh, I also want to thank KIPP Soul Academy for giving me the opportunity to help these children be entrepreneurs. On another note, there is a new challenge going around on social media, TikTok specifically, and it's called the Devious Licks Challenge. Okay, if you haven't heard about it, you need to Google it and look it up. The Devious Licks Challenge, and it's basically where the students go into the school, they either destroy property or they steal property in the school. They record themselves, and they post it on social media, TikTok, for likes and praises and all of that stuff. And it's really been a negative thing. And I actually had KIPP Soul Academy actually posted something yesterday about things happening at their school. And so just be careful, parents be aware, schools, principals, teachers, make sure you're aware of what's going on because these students are out here doing the most. One of my guests, my other guest just came in, Miss Alexis. How are you, ma'am?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you're doing amazing. You're looking amazing. But I need you to look amazing horizontally. So can you turn your phone around?
Yes. Is that better?
That is not.
No. Okay. Because you know what, the camera that I have is like right in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, go back to where you were, because that you turned it, that didn't that didn't do But thank you. So, all right. We are ready.
Love it. It is definitely a Tuesday. It's the Monday is Tuesday ever.
The Monday is Tuesday.
For real.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so again, I have two lovely ladies as my guests today, Miss Alexis Clark and Miss Joni Payton. Joni Payton is a community parent, she's a community activist, and she also has worked in school districts as a crossing guard, correct?
Yeah.
And she homeschools her children, not four of her students now, correct? Her children, correct?
Correct.
And so she will be discussing homeschooling from her parental stance. And then we have Miss Alexis, or should I say teacher Alexis, who just started her own homeschool programming on September 6th, correct?
Yes, we're in the third week.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely excited about it.
Okay, I don't see your lips moving. Are you?
I don't see my lips moving either. I'm frozen. Oh, love. I love it.
Well, as long as we can hear you and get all this good insight and information that you have, we're gonna make it work. Okay. You ladies are looking lovely. I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Thank you. We're gonna dive right in because we have a lot of things to unpack. So, Alexis, you may want to log out and log. Oh, you're moving again. There we go. That's what I like to see.
Awesome. Yeah, I was trying to do some shuffling. Like, okay, let me see if I can get myself visible.
Well, we some teachers and educated folk up in here. Like, we gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it work. So I appreciate y'all for being here. Okay, so let's jump right into this. And let's let our listening audience know what exactly is homeschooling. Alexis, I'm going to start with you. You can give me a technical definition, or you can give me your definition of what homeschooling is. Alexis.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much again for having me. So what I do, what I've implemented in my program, this will be the second year of me homeschooling my daughter. And for me, homeschooling is schooling at home and really allowing for my daughter to embrace all that life encompasses at school. You know, as far as of course following the standards, but really focusing on herself growing. And like I said, school isn't everything. So we're doing cooking, where we actually just got back from a hike in exploring nature. So we kind of homeschooling is schooling at home. It is parental taught so that I can show her exactly what I deem is important for her to know.
Okay.
Because as we know, the schools have what they deem is important, and it may not necessarily be what I feel is important for her to learn at this stage in her life.
Okay.
So again, not technical at all, more so just my my viewpoints of what homeschooling is to me.
Yes, and that's fine. That's what I want. You have a different perspective and insight on this topic. So yes, thank you very much for that. So Ms. Joni, what is homeschooling to you?
Everything that Ms. Clark just stated. Everything. Even I like to do like just different family history stuff, family tree stuff, so they can better understand themselves. And I think a lot of times, when you send them to school, just like Alexis just said, you have the things that the school deems necessary for them to know, and that may leave them completely in the dark as far as things that pertain to their specific situation and how they should negate adulthood or navigate through adulthood. So I just like to, come from that angle, like, hey, your grandma cooks and sews and bakes, and these are the things that we do, and, just different stuff like that. So, of course, the standard curriculum, general studies is very important, math, reading, language arts, all of that is very important. but you know, chakras and stuff are too, and cooking and stuff. And like she just said, she just went on a hike with her daughter. I just got back from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, so they were able to see some totally different culture. You know, a very a large contrast compared to where we live. You know, now. So just for them to see just different things, different people.
Okay. Now you did just mention, you brought up chakras, and that's the interesting talking point. We might get into that depending on how much time we have at the show, but that is definitely education that goes outside the realm of the norm.
Right.
A typical school would teach. But I think it is something, like you said, it is very important. It's stuff that we need to know because it is more acclimated to who we are as people, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, that honestly, I love it that you brought up the chakras as well, because like I've explained to my clients, my program is a self-educational based learning. And we do, for the first hour or two, we do our yoga poses. We're actively meditating. We also do what I do, self-emotional learning every day, to where they have to go in and answer different questions about themselves. Like I wrote a question last week: what excites you and why? You know, really getting them to think about what excites you or what upsets you, which was a really big one. We kind of got emotional, and then we had to go and let it all out at the park. But you know, really to get them to think about, yes, things make you happy and things make you mad, but why? Why does the root to those emotions? And especially us as melanated people, we our emotions get us in trouble. You know, you know, and we aren't really taught to think logically. We're taught to think emotionally. And again, it gets us in trouble because now we're out in situations that require logical thinking, but our emotional brain takes over. And so that's one of the best things that I kind of say that I offer at this program, is really just getting, you know, the children time to really figure out who they are. Because I know for my 35 years of life, it took until I became a parent for me to really sit down and say, who am I? Besides for somebody's mama. Who are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm her mama. And, you know, that's just not enough, because you're never really satisfied. Even though I love being a parent, you know, I must admit this is the best job I've ever undertaken. But besides for parenting, and if you don't know who you are, you're kind of just floating in the wind and letting people decide who you are. So I must admit that's actually one of the best parts of my program, besides for like the 2-hour recesses that I believe children need, because they're full of energy.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned about the children finding out who and what they are, and even who you are as an adult, because we all know as children, we're just fumbling through life trying to figure out who we are and what we're supposed to do and our purpose in life. But what a lot of children don't know is that when we hit 18 and become adults, we still fumbling through life trying to figure things out and what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to, you know, our purpose is. And so, like you said, like you just said, me at 46, you know, I finally understand who I am completely and finally know myself inside and out. Don't have to put a lot of emphasis on what other people think of me, because I think highly of myself now. You know, I mean, that is a process and a way of thinking and training your mind to be that we aren't really taught at a very young age. So
absolutely,
I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to give the technical definition of homeschooling. It says homeschooling is the education of school-age children 5 to 17 in a grade equivalent to at least kindergarten and not higher than 12th grade, who receive instruction at home instead of at a public or private school, either all or most of the time. Homeschooling can be traced back to 1970, when American educator John Hope emerged as a proponent of homeschooling. He challenged the notion that the formal school system provided the best education for children. And then it's kind of grown and spawned from there. A couple of more statistics. It says 3 to 4% of the school going population in the U.S. is homeschooled. According to the most recent federal data, 51% are female, 49% are male. White students make up 68% of homeschooled children. Hispanics are second at 15%. Blacks make up 8%, with Asians coming in at 4%. And so 8%, that's not really a high. Why do you all think that the Black community isn't very well versed in homeschooling? Joni?
Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please, Joni. I apologize.
Oh, no, no problem at all. But I think our traditions, so many of them are so dated, and we just have such a hard time letting go or evolving into perspectives that are more balanced and healthy and progressive for where we are now as a people. Because, and then too, I just want to throw in there that a lot of times it's like let's be real, you know, in the hood, things are so unbalanced that it's like, okay, get out the house, go to school. I need a break because, you know, the other parent is absent or, you know, just not, they could be even present, but just not presently there parenting. You know, one parent is putting in more of the parental effort, you know, or the other parent is just missing altogether. So sometimes school is just like a daycare or a relief just to, you know, get the kids out of the house. And then other time, I think the other aspect of it is, you know, we just hold on to these old traditions that this is how things are supposed to go. And we rarely deviate from that plan, no matter how detrimental it is.
Correct. I appreciate that answer. Ms. Clark, what do you have?
Totally agree. I totally agree with everything that Joni just said. It definitely does stem with tradition. What has been passed down to us, what they believe is the best for themselves. But honestly, I really just think it's a monkey see, monkey do type thing. Because in public school, especially in our schools, you only see us. Like, you really rarely see Caucasians. And, you know, I worked, like a couple years ago, I was working security. After I got out of the educational field, I just could not do it anymore. And back when March 12th, right before they shut everything down, I was like, okay, I can't come back to work. He was like, wow. I was like, because I'm not going to have anybody to watch my kid. He's like, well, he's like, okay. I was like, well, who's watching your children while you're at work? Oh, my daughter homeschools. You know, my wife homeschools. And I just couldn't believe that, you know, my employer was giving me so much flack about not being able to come to work when his child is homeschooled. Like, he was like, yeah, well, I've never done public school. Like, I found it so, first, it was egregious. It was kind of like a slap in the face. Like, it's okay for you and your wife to have the dynamic to where she's at home and she's taking care of your children, but it's unheard of for me as a melanated woman to want us to be at home with my child and make sure that she is getting grade A education from a parent. You know, not to knock teachers, because again, as an educator, I know that they put their blood, sweat, and tears in it, but they're still strangers. And when we send our children to school, they learn to respect strangers more than they respect their parent who's at home, who's making sacrifices.
Wow,
That's deep.
Oh, look, I kid you not. There was a lot of times my daughter would come home and be like, well, my teacher said we should do this, and they think you should do it this way. And I'm like, well, those are your teachers. That's not your parent. You know, when they start paying some of these bills at home, then maybe I'll take what they say into consideration. But yeah, you know, like, and you know, she was a child, you know, a baby. So it wasn't like she was trying to be disrespectful.
She's totally innocent. Yes.
Totally you know, she was just saying what her teacher, who I love my teacher, I respect my teacher, what they say. And it's like, well, they're not really doing anything but babysitting you. You know.
I pay babysitters.
For real. It is like, you know, it got to the point where it was just counterproductive for me to have to come home and read teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And
Undo
then it's
all the misinformation.
yes. And again, I even this year I had some of her friends who would call and was like, "You're not gonna let her be sociable." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not sending her to school to be sociable. I'm sending her to school to get an education." And the schools are not conducive to that because these kids who are going to school, their home life is chaotic, and they're bringing that energy to school with them. And then my baby's bringing it home with her.
Yeah.
And so I received a lot of flack for homeschooling, but it really is just on the misinformation, the monkey see monkey do, or my parents did this, and everybody in the neighborhood is going and sending their kids to school. So I don't want to leave my child out. I don't want them to feel like they're missing something. So I'm going to send them to school too. So I do say it's tradition, but I also just think that we are follow the leader type people right now.
Right. Well, you both made valid points. You both mentioned the word tradition. Here's why I strongly dislike the word tradition. Whether it's in education, whether it's in religion, whether it's in personal life, I don't care what it is. The word tradition basically means you are living your life based on somebody else's way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's usually somebody that you have never met, never heard of, or not known, period, because it's somebody from way in the past. And this started way back in the 1800s. And so we just going to keep doing it this way because this how it's been working. You know what I mean? Like education in America started basically after during Reconstruction. And they were basically, it was basically to train students, prepare students for the workforce. You know what I mean? And so the workforce has changed drastically since the 1800s. Pretty much everything has changed drastically, except for the way education is done. And I think that we really have to step out of the tradition mindset because it's not your mindset, it's somebody else's. And like you both stated with homeschooling, it gives you a chance to present material that you want and present things that are important to you, to your children. So if that's not a catalyst to look into homecoming, I don't know what else could be. And so moving forward, Joni, how did you become interested in homeschooling, or what was the catalyst that made you pursue homeschool?
Knowledge, learning more myself. Looking back at some of the stuff that I was taught and then my daughter was being taught, and then you start this path to, spiritual enlightenment and knowing your true self, then you start to, want to implement that in your children as well. And so for a long time, I had one kid and I thought that I would have one kid, like that was just it. But now I have 5 kids, and my oldest is 19 and my youngest are twins. They're twin boys. They'll be 2 in December. And just seeing how much of an influence my older daughter got, because we're from a little small town in Indiana. We moved to big old Atlanta. Right. And I can say I see the pros and cons of that. And so seeing a lot of the negative influence that my daughter was exposed to coming from a small town where things just operate totally different. Okay. And then working in the school system for 10 years as a crossing guard and just seeing the staff interact poorly with the children. Right. The staff interact poorly with each other. The children bullying each other, saying some of the most absurd things to each other. That's what made me say, okay. So I tried to homeschool my oldest daughter, but she was older. She was a teenager. She's like, I'm not sitting in front of this computer all day. I got YouTube and Instagram. And so they actually ended up removing her from the homeschool program because I wasn't consistently checking to ensure that she was on task. I was just kind of leaving it up to her. Right. And yeah. Yeah, that's it was a learning process. It was definitely a learning process. So I figured with my younger children, if I just start them out that way and they don't even know about the quote unquote traditional way of learning, then it won't be so hard to, break them from it, or, because she was like, oh, I miss my friends, mom. And, I miss my friends. Like, I miss that social. And I'm like, well, you're not going to school to be social, even though I know, you're going to be, but that's not it shouldn't be your primary focus. And it just turned into like a fashion show, hair show type of thing at schools now. And I mean, it's always been like that. I'm not even gonna say now. It's always been that the popular kids, the in crowd, these clothes and these shoes. And listen, I did away with a lot of traditions. I mean, even like holidays, I don't.
Me either.
I teach my kids about Kwanzaa. We don't do Christmas, and they see other kids get Christmas gifts, and they kind of feel a type of way sometimes. But it's all a learning process, and I figured the sooner I do away with all the misinformation, the better off they'll be, and the easier it'll make my job in the long run. Because right now it's hard because they've never been to school, they don't interact much with other people. It's kind of just me, and yeah.
Appreciate that. And what about you, Miss Alexis? Was it just the thing with your security job that kind of pushed you into homeschooling, or was there something that happened negative in traditional schooling that also played into you wanting to homeschool?
Well, honestly, I am one of those rare creatures who I've always wanted to homeschool. I remember when my daughter, before I even put her in daycare, I was considering homeschool, but because I was a college student and a solo parent, I got kind of peer pressured into putting her into daycare and putting her into school. Everybody was like, hey, how you gonna homeschool when you doing school too? Of course, the whole, you gotta work, you gotta pay these bills, chase that bag mentality. And so it was like, okay, trust, it was a lot. It was a battle just because I knew I wanted to homeschool her. I was going to school to be an educator, and so it's like, okay, I can do this. But it was a lot of negative people who were around that put that doubt in my mind, and so it was that very difficult. But when she got home from daycare, when I got her from daycare from school, we did school. I want to say a lot of the majority of her learning was done, of course, besides for my parents, was myself. It was the everyday, let's read these books, let's do these alphabets, let's learn math. Just as active as I am right now, I have always been active. And so it was the break by sending her to school because it was like, okay, I know I'm gonna get this break. I'm gonna send her to school. I gotta pay these bills, and so and when she comes home, I just reteach her, and it really just got tiring because every time she would come home from school, she would tell me things. I'm like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. This is right. And then when the whole pandemic happened, it really was like, okay, let me go ahead and take her out of school and do exactly what I had planned on doing from the beginning, which is homeschooling. Because who's going to do it better than me? Nobody.
Right. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And so
honestly, one of the perks. Go ahead.
No, well, you sound like you
I was gonna
ask my next question. What are the benefits of homeschooling?
Oh, I actually was.
But
Joni, do you want to go first?
Girl, I know. Yeah. So what are some of the benefits for you, Alexis, of homeschooling?
I honestly just to really get to know my daughter, to really that is the best thing in the world, to really know her inside and out. And I think as a parent, sometimes we take that for granted. That I know my kid,
so right.
I know their favorite cereal, I know this, I know that, but to really know her like inside and out. She comes and talks to me about things that she may not talk to me about if she was at school. But the fact that we're socializing all day instead of her socializing with these random kids at school or these teachers that she really doesn't know, you know,
Right.
we're talking about deep things, you know, about what, not just what she wants to be when she grows up, but who she wants to be when she grows
Yes.
up, and how to navigate and get herself to that point. You
That's
know,
important.
it really is just really getting to know her and helping her through her, because let's just be honest, most kids are depressed. Most kids go through childhood depression.
Okay.
And just being able to be her parent therapist through that, that way she grows up healthy and healed instead of having to be my age figuring out what my mama wasn't there and I really hated her for that. You know, helping her through that stuff right now. So honestly, everything else aside, you know, yeah, I can teach you all of this, all of this education, but really just getting to know her and her really getting to know me and me getting to know myself is like the best thing. That's like the biggest benefit.
Okay, that's awesome. I think that's that type of deeper bonding is great. And you do get to learn your child more. And it is a big, I don't know why parents tend to think that they know their child inside out. I had this conversation with my mama last summer, and I was 45 then. I'm like, Mom, you don't know me like that. You know what I mean? Like not inside out like that. And that is a big misconception from childhood. You know what I mean? And so to be able to have that deeper connection and that deeper bond and more time with each other, I think that's
because think about it. They're at school for almost 40 hours a week. That's a job.
That's a job, yeah.
That is a job.
Yep.
And after 40 hours a week, you're pretty much done. Even as adults, when you come home from work, you're done. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have those deep conversations because I don't want to. I'm burnt out. And it's the same way for kids. And so they're gone for 8 hours of the day. They sleep 8 hours. That's only 6 hours left. 3 hours, really. You don't really get to build a bond in those a little bit of time.
You're absolutely correct. I think that is a very, very important component or aspect that you just mentioned. Homeschooling. Can you mute Joni?
Okay. I'm sorry, my kids just
I know you guys. I know y'all parents and y'all homeschool. Alexa's in the middle of schooling right now, so I appreciate y'all taking time.
Absolutely. So I'm sorry, can you say that?
I had to bribe my kids up front. Like, look, go watch a movie real quick, and then that's why I did the hiking and everything. I done got lunch out the way. Like, okay, give me this hour, and we're gonna be good. I promise. We're gonna get some rewards.
Right.
I appreciate that was their thing too. I was like, hey, you guys do a couple of sheets out of your workbooks. We'll get some, I got some little vegan ice cream. We can have a little treat after y'all done. They're like, no. So it's really my twins. They're boys. They just climbed out of the playpen. They just learned how to do this like 2 days ago. So it's been pretty chaotic since then. Since I don't have that, to kind of keep them stationary. But one of the biggest benefits to me is like the curriculum creation. I can say this is what we're going to learn about today, and it can be, Black history or world history or spiritual quest or whatever, metaphysical stuff. So that's the great part.
Right.
I love that. And then also the flexibility.
Yes.
Flexibility.
The flexibility. Honestly, it is so wonderful. Like today, they got here. We did, they were running a little late, which is fine. So me and my daughter, we did our yoga poses and stuff like that. And then when they came in, we went to the park. We went for a hike. You can have school outside of 4 walls.
Right.
As we were going through, we noticed nature. they didn't realize that the spiders made spider webs and it caught water on it at night. So, we're walking through and seeing this real life stuff. We actually saw a black snake crawling out of its burrow in the ground. So we had to turn around like, okay, it's time to go back.
Let me
but the flexibility is awesome.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the biggest benefits of that parents say they get from homeschooling is the flexibility and getting to choose what or have input in what their child gets to learn. So I know, Joni, when we talked yesterday, you told me that I asked you what was your biggest challenge of homeschooling. You want to share that with the people, please?
Absolutely. So one of my biggest challenges is getting the information that I share with them to really stick, to come up with like different songs and stuff so they can retain the information. So that's what I see. Videos, songs, and things help a lot. Just kind of talking and devising, dry eye, monotone voice, they're not going to remember any of that. Just, hey, this is, it takes a level of engagement that I hadn't considered previously. And so that has been definitely a challenge. Like a good example will be, we worked on the continents for a while and they could not remember them. But when I found a continent song on YouTube, they learned it perfectly and now they know it through the song.
Well, we're artistic, creative people, so
yes,
the problem with traditional schools because they don't cater to us.
They don't, and that's why they, have all these. I think in a lot of cases now, sometimes there are cases of like ADHD and stuff, but I think they're quick to throw that umbrella or throw children under that umbrella just, for whatever other motives, but without really considering the child, because a lot of time it just takes different levels of engagement. Everybody learns differently. People may learn better through visual concepts or hands-on or, a bit of both. Like it definitely takes a different approach,
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because I've been reading a couple of things about homeschooling. I found things that say there is a fee for homeschooling, and then I found something that says there's not a fee for homeschooling. So, Alexis, can you kind of clear that up for me? Is there a fee for homeschooling? Yes, no, maybe?
Okay. Yes and no. Okay. So, if for me, I teach my daughter, I also come up with my own curriculum. Okay. So that means as long as I do follow the George. Yes, I come up with my own curriculum because I did consider K-12, but again, I'm a solo parent, and my money, the majority of my money goes to making sure my household is taken care of. So it was like, I really am not gonna be able to based homeschool. All right. Okay. And then so with that being said, I make up my own curriculum. I looked at my daughter and said, okay, this is where you're at. This is where I want you to be. So let me figure out how to get you there. Like last year, we studied anatomy. We went through the human body. Okay. That's something that she wouldn't have gotten until she went to college, high school, college. Right. And, again, I do also do videos because my daughter's like, I don't want to learn this. And I'm like, let's pop this video on. I do, because I was a professional tutor for a while, I cater to the multiple intelligences. So I allow for the music to be in the background. When they're focusing and doing their notes, I play different types of music. So it's our music appreciation all day. So we've done opera, we've done classical music, we've done jazz with vocals, we've do lo-fi music. Just that way they open up their minds to the different type of music that is around you. But since I make my own curriculum, it's free for me. Right. But there are different types of co-ops out there that if you say you work, all right, you're not able to do 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 with your kids. They offer co-ops out. The YMCA, there are a lot of different religion-based co-ops out there that are at churches that are paid. You will, I'm actually one of the lowest homeschool, um, I would call it co-teaching
Okay.
out there. I know they can run, there are some homeschool co-ops that run about $150 a week. So it can get pretty expensive. And like I said, I didn't look up K-12 just because for me personally, paying for school was not an option. That's not in my budget. So it was like, Lex, we're going to have to come up with something else. We got to figure out, be flexible. So it can get expensive. I definitely don't want to sit back and say, oh, you can find a co-op and you'll drop your kids off and it's going to be cheap. You may not, but it is definitely is all about the sacrifices you're willing to make. And there are such a thing called co-teaching, where you can find a homeschool parent just like you and come up with similar curriculums and say, hey, can you take the kids on Wednesdays when I work, or can you take the kids on this certain days? I do have a client who does that with me. Certain days she'll bring her children over. That gives them the socialization that they're craving. That gives the parents the freedom that they're craving, and also allows for the child to learn flexibility. Some days they're like, Miss Lexus, we want to be here every day. And I'm like, I know, but not right now. Then they know why. They're like, okay, it's just, this is what my mom can afford right now. Right. And that shows them financial literacy early, that they're paying. So a lot of my clients know, their kids know, like, look, no, this is not free. Your mom is paying for you to be here. So it shows them, like, look, that your parent loves you that much that they're willing to take you from this free program and pay for you to be somewhere.
Right. Yeah,
and like I said, it is some free. If you're at home making your own curriculum, you about that life, you're willing to put in that little bit of work, that lot of bit of work. All right, it's a lot, but it's at your own pace. It's at your children's pace. It is what you deem is important for them to know. Okay. Or you can go out and pay $150. It can get pretty expensive, but they do offer the STEM programs, the STEAM programs. There's some great co-ops out there if you're willing to do the research and figure out which one is best with your needs and your children.
Let me ask you this, Alexis. With you creating your own curriculum, does someone have to approve that to make sure you're staying in line with state regulations and what the children have to learn according to the state?
Nope.
You just do your own thing.
Nope. I went to GADOE. As a homeschool parent, that's what a lot of people are concerned about. What do I teach them? They tell you, they let you know, of course, math, your reading and writing, your social studies, and then a language. And honestly, you do math all day. You're reading and writing all day. Social studies, go outside. Go to not only in your community, go to these other communities. We actually have a Jewish community out here. We have Little Mexico over up Buford Highway. We have a lot of different societies that we can study. So and then also language, YouTube University. So it's a lot of different avenues that you can take, as long as you're willing to put in that little bit of extra effort of saying, look, these are the 5 things that I need to focus on. And who says that they have to do everything every day? Like for my schedule, I did it college-based. There are 2 days for every subject. So like today is our math, reading and writing day. So Tuesday and Friday, we do math, reading and writing. Monday and Wednesday, we do science, language arts, and social studies. Okay. All right. And then, of course, we're doing we're outside. I'm actually working on 3 separate curriculums.
Okay.
I have a 5-year-old who is doing her own different curriculum. I have a 7-year-old who is doing his own curriculum, and then I have the a 9 and then some 10-year-olds who are doing a separate curriculum. So and then of course they do joint curriculums. Like yesterday we created a hydraulic robotic arm. First we watched a video on the hydraulic arm of someone who made it out of cardboard.
Okay.
They did all of the functioning back and forth together, and then we put it together. So that was everybody working on this science project. And we all got to maneuver the hydraulic arm, picking up a bottle, put it down. That is widespread over all ages.
Okay.
And so as long as you're willing to see, okay, what do they need to learn today? And again, they don't need to learn every subject every day. You just need to incorporate it into your curriculum.
Okay.
And like I said, I do the college schedule, 2 days for each subject.
Okay. Well, let me ask this, because we're almost out of time. This has gone by extremely fast.
It has.
I appreciate both of you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. Let me get this last question in. I'm gonna start with you, Joni. There's a lot of talk out there that homeschooling has an adverse impact on the developing social skills of children, teaching them how to communicate with children their age, working in group project settings together, and just generally teaching them how to socialize with children their age. Did you find that when you were homeschooling, Joni?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. And so what happens is I'm on the Nextdoor app looking for different people who have similar ideologies or lifestyles to have play dates with. And sometimes that's unsuccessful. It's definitely true. It does impact their socialism, but I think that that's not as big as them being exposed to all type of stuff at school. Like, I can get them to kind of open up, and you can teach that socializing with similar like-minded individuals rather than just thrusting them into a public school and then not knowing what they're being exposed to, especially with social media and stuff. Most kids have phones, even little bitty kids, they have phones, and they're showing kids and other kids all kind of stuff. So I think, it does definitely have an adverse effect on them socially. And since I know that, then that's something that I actively try to just, be considerate of. I make play dates. I take them to the park, and that's been something that has been really great. I just take them to the park, and they'll start talking to other kids. Hi, what's your name? Do you want to play? So that shows me that they still know how to interact. They may be a little shy at first, but then they'll open up and they'll play with other kids and stuff like that. So, just a quick park date or a quick, a day at the park can definitely help with the social aspect of homeschooling.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Alexis, you want to touch on that before we get out of here?
Yes, I do. Honestly, the first week of school was like the roughest because my daughter was so used to having her friends around. So she's like, all of my friends are going to school and they're making new friends. So I did sort of like what Joni did, except I went to Facebook. I went to Facebook and got on every homeschool group I could imagine, and did my networking that way.
That's good.
We go to the park. We're at the park. I want to say maybe 2 hours a day. And so in order to help her with her sociability, also, just so you know, on Fridays or every other Friday, first and third Fridays, they have a homeschool day at Sparkle Skate. Okay. Where your kids come in, it's $5. It's from 12 to 4. So there are a lot of homeschool events that you can go to. I kid you not. It was like I was on the internet, on my phone until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to find stuff for this overly extroverted, spirited young lady of mine so that she can continue to be social. And that's actually how I came up on having 5 more kids, because it was like, you know, you do this. And then I was telling them about my program and how I'm teaching my daughter. It's like, okay, bet. When can we bring my kids? And it kind of opened up from there, you know. But it honestly, the biggest, not so much being social, it's really just finding melanated people to be social with throughout the day. You know, and for me, I don't get me wrong, I love white people. I love everybody. I love everybody. As long as you don't bring me no garbage, I love you. But it was very important for me to show my daughter that Black people, melanated people also homeschool. And so it was very important for me to show her that aspect of it. It's not just in the affluent communities. There are people who love their kids and they want them homeschooled. They want to teach them the right things. And that's what it was. Like, that's like the biggest thing for me. Not so much being social, because it's a lot of avenues out there to have your kids socials. Like, there's homeschool football teams, there are homeschool cheerleading teams. Like, there are people who teach karate and martial arts or pottery. There I actually, as soon as I get the funds, I'm gonna sign them up for a virtual Spanish class that's just for homeschool students. So it is a lot of different avenues that you can have for your children. They can enjoy the finer things in life just like they were going to public school. But it just takes effort from the parents to go in.
Yes. So listen, I know you gotta go, Vince. But right before this show, I'm on this social media platform called Our Black Truth. And so I was
Our Black Truth?
Yes, and I really encourage you guys to check it out. Just a couple of resources. There's a guy called Antoine .digital on Instagram. That's actually who I learned and take coding classes from. His 13-year-old daughter teaches coding classes as well. I absolutely love their program. It does cost, but it's extremely affordable. But like 20 minutes before, well, maybe not 20 minutes, maybe a couple of hours before the show started, I came across this post on how to start a homeschool co-op for Black homeschoolers. And so they touched on a lot of things that Alexis talked about, as far as, okay, I'll get the kids one day and you get the kids another day. So I'm definitely thinking about starting something like this. But check out the Unlock Academy with the guy Antoine .digital on Instagram and YouTube. He's like a wealth of resources as far as coding goes. And this other guy is the Kamali Academy, KAMA.
I've heard of that.
Academy. So I just came across this guy. Literally, like, that's how you know when the universe is just like aligning you, because here I am talking about homeschooling today. I've known about the show for some time, but it literally just came up on my feed on that Our Social Truth a couple hours before the show. So that was definitely an indicator and confirmation, you know, that hey,
love confirmation around here. So
I know. I love it.
I definitely want your information. I know you, Vince, you said you got to pick up your
alignment, man. Where are you?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. We're about to get out.
You had to go. You had a previous engagement, right? You had to go.
Yeah. Well, I got to go pick somebody up from school. And so Alexis, Joni said she would like to connect with you. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I need your email.
Yes, by all means. I was actually gonna ask that. Yes, let's please set up, because I'm always taking these kids to the park. Like, we're out.
Let's do it. That sounds phenomenal.
We do art in the park on Wednesday.
You want to put your email in the chat for me, or I can put my email in the chat real quick?
Oh, I'll do that for you. I'll exchange your. Put it in the chat real quick.
Okay.
While I close out. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much for that enlightening conversation about homeschooling. We are very thankful that you all took time out of your busy day to be here today. Alexis, I know you got a lot going on with the new school. Joni, you're a busy parent, so I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, man.
Great information given today. And I just think homeschooling is to break away from tradition.
Totally on there.
I think homeschooling is something that all melanated people should look into for educating their own children, because traditional school systems, they're showing us on a regular basis, they're cheating, they're miseducating our students, they're over disciplining them, and all type of negative things in the public system. So yeah, I think it's time for us to move on. So again, thank you to my guests, Joni Payton and Alexis Clark. I really appreciate you all being here. Before I go, I'm going to give my quick shout out to my scholars of the week. And you ladies, if your students, homeschool students, are doing something positive, doing something great, send it to me, let me know, and I will give them a shout out on my scholars of the week. So my scholars of the week go to all of the students who participated in my Bright Futures Entrepreneurial Club this summer from KIPP Soul Academy. I had about 15 students. The information is kind of heavy. You're 5th and 6th grade, you're starting your own business, but these students were engaged. Even the two that won, outside of the two that didn't win, I'm sure these students picked up something that they can use in the future. So I'm very excited and very happy that I was a part of their growth in that aspect. So again, my scholars of the week go to Haley and go to Gabrielle for starting their own businesses. I'm really looking forward to helping you all grow, and I'm very, very proud of you all. So again, thank you to our listening audience for tuning in to Conversation and Education today. We will be back sometime next month. I don't have my date yet, but make sure you stay tuned. Follow us, Conversations in Education, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We appreciate you. Shout out to my WCEG family, my producers, Penny and Vivian. And with that being said, you all have a great day. Be blessed. We'll see you next time.
Namaste, everybody.
Thank you. You have a great day.